All right. Now, day 6 of the Diddy trial, and the pattern continues. Every state's witness gets crushed on the stand. Prosecutors' prep game? Still weak. Dawn Rashard, who's suing Diddy herself, took the stand today. As a former employee, she's been around Diddy, Cassie, and other women, and claims she saw a lot. But once questioned, her story got shaky. She met with the feds 8 times, telling them Diddy was basically the devil. Now look, if she was just up there speaking her truth, cool. She got every right to do that. But once she hit the stand, it got messy. Her story started folding on itself and slipping all over the place. And by the end of it, she wasn't looking too solid in front of the jury.
But Dawn Rashard, she testified about the Cassie Skillet incident with Diddy. And she said that after she witnessed this, that both Diddy and Harv Pierre, you know, they kind of threatened her at 2 different times. And one of the last things Diddy had said to her, according to Dawn Rashard, was, if you tell, people go missing. And during the cross-examination, which was done by Diddy's female attorney, Nicole Westmoreland, and I thought she was effective, but she was a little nervous seeming at first. That's just my opinion. She forgot to say objection, but I mean, again, that's just why I kind of thought she was nervous. But she pointed out that about 7 of Dawn Rashard's prior conversations with the government, she left that part out, the whole people go missing part. And Dawn Rashard would get this transcript, she would look at it and be like, I mean, I don't know, like there was a note taker there, but I don't know why that I didn't say it. You know, she admitted that her memory has changed throughout the years.
She told the jury she met with the feds 8 times, not 7, but 8. And somehow, not once did she mention Diddy making threats or saying that he'd make people disappear. Now she's saying that was trauma? Nah, it don't add up. Because technically, you forget details over time, not gain new ones. But now that it's court time, she remembers everything? Like I said, not adding up. And the Skillet situation? She done gave like 4 different versions of that story. At that point, she cooked her own credibility. I'm sorry, but I can't be the first one to say, pick a story and stand on it.
The Skillet egg incident. Cassie was cooling the eggs. This is her testimony. Diddy was yelling. He attempted, pay attention, to hit her in the head. Cassie dropped down to a fetal position. Not the first time you spoke about the egg incident, is it? Dawn was very soft-spoken. It was hard to understand her. She said so it was like you heard a pan hit the wall, but you didn't see it. Now, she met with the feds on October 1st, 2024, and basically they are trying to say she heard it, but maybe didn't see it. She told the feds Diddy did hit her, but attempted and actually hitting her are 2 different things. Now, here is when Dawn gets cross-examined. Now, Miss Westmoreland, the Bulldog, tell the jury the truth. You gave 2 different stories, hitting and throwing a frying pan. 2 different things. Hitting and throwing a frying pan are 2 different things. In another statement, she said Combs actually threw the eggs and then sat the pan back down. So she's totally discrediting her story. Diddy hit her.
Now, she didn't just tweak the story, she completely flipped it. First it was eggs, then placing the pan down. Now it's a Skillet assault. She started off soft with the feds, but then made the story more violent to stay relevant. And let's be real, this is a RICO. Diddy might be the main name, but he ain't running it solo. The folks testifying? Cassie, Dawn, the assistants. They were all part of the machine. Now they talking just to keep their names clear? To be honest, it's not looking credible.
Also called her out, the defense called her out on another, I guess, statement from her civil lawsuit where she had described Diddy pulling Cassie out of a car by the hair and dragging her onto the grass, and a lot of people saw. And Dawn Rashard said, oh no, that was something that my lawyers, they messed up on. It was a miscommunication, excuse me. And then the government got, during their redirect, to say, well, you were actually thinking of another violent incident, so it wasn't completely made up.
Now, excuse me, but how are you going to say that Diddy dragged Cassie out of a van in your lawsuit, but then get on the stand and blame your lawyers for mishearing you? That's wild. Lying to boost the story should come with consequences. We all saw the Cassie video. He put hands on her. No debate. That alone is enough for me. But stacking lies on top of it? That's foul. She even claimed he did something in front of a whole camera crew. Yet, nobody remembers it, and there's no footage that surfaced of it.
Now, Dawn Rashard, we're picking up now at the Grand Central Festival, right? Like I mentioned earlier, where Diddy had allegedly punched Cassie in the face right before they went on to perform. They all wore sunglasses. Miss Westmoreland, the bulldog, says, why wasn't it on video? She said there was a film crew filming their entire time. You made an allegation that he punched her. Why not on video? All day at the festival, assault happened in a bathroom, she said, not filmed. So the incident you witnessed, you were not, nobody was alone. There was cameras everywhere. So they're saying, how does a camera not pick up anywhere where Cassie, we can see her injuries? Miss Harper was there in the car and in the restaurant. I don't know why Miss Harper has not testified. Maybe she's scared. Why didn't Miss Harper say anything and corroborate her story? That's my question. She didn't tell the government about the pun-puns. In 8 interviews, government didn't ask you about pun-puns? And also, did you ever see him pull out a pun-pun or wave it around? Did you ever see him threatening anybody with a pun-pun? She said no and no to that. Again, discrediting Dawn Rashard. This is the build of Diddy's team, and it gets stronger.
Now, she painted Diddy as a powerful monster who ruined her life and had her trapped. But after all that, his team exposed the lies, picked apart her story, and made her look unstable. Then the defense hit her with the real question. If he was that dangerous, why'd you call him later asking for a job? Make that make sense.
Let's see what else. So Dawn Rashard talked about how, she worked with Diddy from 2004 to 2009 with Danny Kane, and then 2009 to 2011 on the Dirty Money Group. And she left in 2011, and she described, Diddy would call her on FaceTime sometimes to check in, and Dawn said, the best thing to do to kind of, keep him at arm's length or keep him happy was just be nice and polite and cordial. Well, the defense kind of got up there and said, well, didn't you call him and try to work with him after that? And she, at that point was forced to say yes. And so she did, I guess, reach out and initiate communication several times first. And then the government, when they did their redirect, they got it out of her that she only reached out to him because of Kalena Harper, essentially, and Kalena wanted her to. And then it got a little spicy with Nicole Westmoreland and Dawn Rashard at one point. Sorry, my papers. Because she said something like, you were very successful when you were with Sean Combs, Danny Kane, Dirty Money, and talking about how she sold all these albums. And she alluded to the fact, and she actually said the words, no offense, but you haven't sold nearly as many albums since then.
She claims Diddy traumatized her, but after leaving, she was still texting him I love you and cheating on her fiance with him. Same with Dawn. Said that he ruined her life, but when her career flopped, she switched up and asked him for a job. In my opinion, you can't say he's a monster then ask to work for him again. That don't add up. And so far, not one witness took the stand and walked off looking solid. But hey, if you made it this far, click the left side of your screen to see why Antonio Brown will be going to jail within the next 30 days. And also, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, share to be aware, put me in that algorithm because I need to be there, man. Because I know there's 10 other streamers out there doing it like me, but
fuck that little 10. I'm maxed out.